Think in English now. Stop translating, start living the language. Have you ever noticed something strange even after learning hundreds of English words, watching English videos, and studying grammar for years? Many people still struggle to speak fluently. The problem is not always vocabulary, it is not always grammar. The real problem is hidden deep inside the mind. Most English learners do not actually think in English. Whenever they want to speak, their brain first creates a sentence in their native language, then it starts translating word by word into English. This process is slow, stressful, and exhausting. By the time the sentence is ready, the conversation has already moved on. Fear appears, confidence disappears, and slowly the learner begins to believe maybe English is not for me. But the truth is different. English fluency begins the moment you stop translating and start thinking directly in English. Today, we are going to explore how thinking in English can completely transform your speaking ability, your confidence, and even the way your brain works. Because English is not just a subject, it is a new way of thinking. Why translation destroys fluency? Imagine a runner carrying a heavy backpack during a race. No matter how talented the runner is, the extra weight slows them down. Translation works exactly like that. When you translate every sentence in your head, your brain performs two tasks at once. Create the idea in your native language, convert it into English. This creates delay, confusion, and fear of mistakes. Native speakers do not translate, they think instantly. When they see rain, the word rain appears naturally in their mind. But many learners first think of the word in their own language and then search for the English meaning. The tiny delay becomes the biggest wall between learning English and speaking English. The goal is not to become a human dictionary, the goal is to train your brain to connect ideas directly with English words. When you hear the word apple, you should imagine the fruit instantly, not the translated word from another language. This is how children learn languages naturally, and surprisingly, adults can train their minds the same way. Your brain changes according to your thoughts. The human brain is incredibly powerful. Scientists call it neuroplasticity, which means the brain can rewire itself based on repeated actions and thoughts. The more you think in English, the more natural English becomes inside your mind. At first, your brain resists. It feels uncomfortable, slow, awkward, but that discomfort is actually proof that your brain is changing. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. In the beginning, balancing feels impossible, but after enough practice, your body remembers automatically. Thinking in English works the same way. Repetition creates automatic thinking. One day, something magical happens. You stop translating, you hear English and understand directly. You speak without building sentences slowly in your head. Words start flowing naturally. That is the moment English becomes part of you. Start with small thoughts. Many learners make one huge mistake. They try to think complicated thoughts immediately. They try to create long motivational speeches in English on day one. Then they fail and feel discouraged. But fluency begins with tiny thoughts, very tiny thoughts. When you wake up, think, I am tired, I need water. Today is hot, I should study. Simple sentences train the brain faster than difficult ones. While walking, describe things around you in English. The sky is beautiful, that man is running, this road is crowded. Your goal is not perfection, your goal is connection between thoughts and English. Even if your sentences are broken, continue. Broken English is better than silent fear. Remember this, fluency grows from practice, not perfection. Talk to yourself in English. Some people think talking to yourself is strange, but secretly, almost everyone talks to themselves inside their mind. The question is, which language are you using? Your inner voice controls your language growth. If your mind speaks only in your native language all day, English remains a classroom subject. But when your inner voice slowly changes into English, the language becomes alive. Try narrating your actions. I am opening the door. I am eating breakfast. I need to finish my work. I forgot my phone. This may feel silly in the beginning, but this simple habit is one of the most powerful techniques for fluency. Because every time you think in English, you are giving your brain real time practice. And unlike classroom learning, this practice is available 24 hours a day. Stop fearing mistakes. One hidden reason people avoiding thinking in English is fear. Fear of wrong grammar, fear of wrong pronunciation, fear of sounding stupid. But think carefully about this. Did you speak your native language perfectly as a child? No. You made mistakes thousands of times. Yet nobody stopped speaking because of mistakes. Children become fluent because they speak without fear. Mistakes are not signs of failure, mistakes are signs of learning. Every wrong sentence teaches your brain something valuable. Perfectionism is dangerous for English learners because it creates silence, and silence kills fluency. The people who improve fastest are not always the smartest, they are the ones who practice fearlessly. Create an English environment. Your brain learns from what surrounds it daily. If your entire environment is in your native language, your brain stays comfortable there. To think in English naturally, you must slowly build an English environment around yourself. Change your phone language to English. Watch videos in English. Listen to English podcasts. Read simple English stories. Follow English speaking creators. At first, your brain may feel tired. That is normal. You are forcing it to adopt. The more English enters your ears and eyes, the more English enters your thoughts. Eventually, your brain begins predicting English automatically, and that is when fluency accelerates. The silent transformation. The beautiful thing about language learning is this: growth often happens silently. For weeks, it may feel like nothing is changing. You still make mistakes, you still forget words, you still struggle sometimes. But inside your brain, thousands of new connections are forming. Then suddenly, one day, you realize you understood a movie scene without subtitles. You replied automatically in English. You dreamed in English. You thought in English without trying. The moment feels magical, but it was not magic, it was daily practice shaping your mind little by little. English is more than a language. English is not just grammar rules and vocabulary lists. It is confidence, it is communication, it is opportunity, it is connection with the world. When you think in English, you are not memorizing a language anymore, you are building a new version of yourself. A version that can express ideas freely without fear. The journey is difficult sometimes. There will be days when you feel slow and frustrated, but never forget this. Every fluent speaker was once a beginner who struggled to form simple sentences. Fluency is not a talent people are born with, it is a habit built through consistency. So, starting today, stop waiting for the perfect time. Think in English now. Even if it is messy, even if it is slow, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because every small English thought is a step toward a completely new future. The story of a boy who changed his life by changing his thoughts. Rain was falling softly outside a small village house when 16-year-old Arjun sat silently near the window. Staring at his English textbook, the pages were filled with words he had memorized hundreds of times before. Confidence, opportunity, success, he knew their meanings. He could even write them in exams. But whenever someone spoke English in real life, his mind froze like a computer with no internet connection. At school, Arjun always stayed quiet during English class. Whenever the teacher asked a question in English, his heart started beating faster. He knew the answer in his native language, but translating it into English felt like trying to cross a river carrying heavy stones. By the time he formed a sentence in his mind, another student had already answered. One afternoon, his teacher Raman sir noticed Arjun sitting alone after class. Why are you always silent? The teacher asked gently. Arjun looked down. Sir, I study English every day, but when I try to speak, my mind stops working. Raman sir smiled quietly and pulled a chair beside him. Arjun, he said, your problem is not English. Arjun looked confused. Your problem is that your brain is living in one language and trying to borrow another. Those words stayed inside Arjun's mind the entire night. That evening, Arjun noticed something strange. Every single thought in his head happened in his native language. When he felt hungry, his mind spoke in his native tongue. When he felt tired, it spoke in his native tongue. Even when reading English, his brain secretly translated every sentence. For the first time, he understood the real problem. He was not learning English, he was translating English. The next morning, Raman sir gave the class a challenge. From today, he announced, I want you to think small thoughts in English. The students laughed. How can we think in English? One student asked. Raman sir pointed toward the classroom door. When you look at the door, don't think of its translation. Just say directly in your mind, door. When you drink water, think I am drinking water. Small thoughts create a new brain. Most students forgot the challenge after a few minutes, but Arjun did not. The first few days felt embarrassing. While brushing his teeth, Arjun whispered awkwardly, I am brushing my teeth. While walking to school, the road is crowded. While eating lunch, this food is spicy. Sometimes he forgot words halfway through sentences. Sometimes his grammar was wrong. Sometimes he mixed two languages together. But slowly something started changing. English no longer felt like a school subject, it started feeling alive. One evening, while helping his mother in the kitchen, Arjun accidentally thought, where is the knife? He froze. That sentence had appeared naturally in English. No translation, no effort, no fear. For the first time in his life, English had entered his thoughts automatically. It was a tiny moment, but tiny moments can change entire lives. Still, the journey was not easy. At school, some students laughed when Arjun practiced speaking English during breaks. Why are you acting like a foreigner? They mocked. For a few days, Arjun almost gave up. That night, he sat under the dark sky outside his house, listening to distant thunder. He wondered whether learning English was even worth the struggle. Then he remembered something Raman sir once said. Every fluent speaker once sounded foolish. Those words hit him deeply. He realized something powerful. People laugh at beginners because they are watching the struggle, not the future. The next morning, Arjun continued practicing, not because he felt confident, but because he refused to stay trapped forever. Months passed. Arjun surrounded himself with English everywhere. He changed his phone language, he watched English videos with subtitles, he listened to English stories before sleeping, he started keeping a diary in simple English sentences. At first, his mind became tired quickly, but slowly English stopped feeling foreign. One day, something unbelievable happened during school assembly. A guest speaker suddenly asked a question in English. Who wants to come on stage and introduce themselves? The classroom became silent. Normally, Arjun would avoid eye contact, but before fear could stop him, his hand rose automatically. Even Arjun himself looked shocked. As he walked toward the stage, his legs trembled. Hundreds of students stared at him. His heartbeat felt louder than the microphone. Then he remembered, don't translate, just think. He took a deep breath. Good morning, everyone. He began slowly. My name is Arjun. A few months ago, I was afraid of English, but now I understand something important. English is not only a language, it is a habit of thinking. The hall became completely silent, not because his English was perfect, but because his words were real. That night, Arjun stood again near the same window where he once felt hopeless. Rain was falling outside just like before. But this time everything felt different. The boy who once feared English had discovered something bigger than grammar. He had trained his mind to believe I can learn. And that belief changed everything. Years later, Arjun would speak confidently with people from different countries. He would help other students overcome fear. Many people would think he was naturally talented in English, but nobody would see the truth. Fluency did not begin with vocabulary, it began with one tiny thought: I can think in English. If you enjoyed this story and want to improve your English confidence step by step, then like, share, and subscribe to Echo English. And remember this question: if your thoughts create your future, then what language are your thoughts speaking today?